A gigantic serpent nearly 400 meters long has been discovered amid the quiet, hilly valleys of Ohio State. It is not just a strange archaeological phenomenon, but also a warning from the sky about a catastrophic cosmic disaster for future generations. The serpent stretches across the land with its body undulating in 7 curves.
That is taking place there. It's a beautiful thing to see, to watch that sun majestically sinking down into the horizon and see this awesome figure of the serpent gazing directly at it with its jaws open, almost as though it's about to swallow the sun.
The plume serpent theory is probably related to something that came from the sky. It came from the extraterrestrial territory.
What did the ancients see in the sky that compelled them to etch that fear into the earth? An exploding star, a comet streaking by, or a strange light that instilled terror in an entire civilization? Could this enormous earthen mound be a sign warning future generations that the sky once threatened life and might do so again? In the southern reaches of Ohio, where lush green hills quietly slope into valleys and morning mist still drapes a thin white veil over the land each day, an enormous form has lain silent since ancient times. From the ground, it appears merely as a gently winding ridge of earth across the grass. But from high above, its shape emerges clearly. Overwhelming and almost surreal, a serpent nearly 400 meters long, curving gracefully in 7 loops, ending in a head that widens into a massive circle as if swallowing the sun. The local indigenous people call this place Serpent Mound, the Great Serpent Mound. The outside world first learned of this mystery in 1848. At that time, 2 American surveyors, Ephraim George Squire and Edwin Hamilton Davis, were roaming the Mississippi Valley to document indigenous monuments. Upon reaching Adams County, they climbed a hill and were stunned to realize the long, sinuous ridge below was not natural. They carefully measured it, drew maps, and published their findings in the book Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley. From that moment, Serpent Mound stepped out from the shadows of time, igniting curiosity in both the scientific community and the public. Unlike the familiar burial mounds scattered across the American Midwest, Serpent Mound contains no human remains, no grave goods, and no signs of habitation. It is simply a colossal symbol, an unexplained undulating line, built from earth and stone mixed with charcoal ash, enduring through millennia. This very silence, no graves, no inscriptions, no writing, makes it haunting. As if the ancients deliberately left a massive sign, but without any key to decipher it. At the end of the 19th century, anthropologist Frederick Ward Putnam from Harvard University came to the site. He excavated nearby mounds, uncovering a few Adena artifacts like bead strands and stone tools. But inside the serpent's body, it was completely empty. No tombs, no treasures, no walls, just earth, and thin layers of ash, as if someone had quietly piled layer upon layer to carve into the ground a form with meaning beyond everyday life. Putnam recognized its special value and campaigned for its preservation, purchasing over 60 acres of surrounding land to save the structure from being plowed for farming. The indigenous communities around Ohio still hold memories of the serpent as an ancient symbol guardian of the boundary between earth and sky, life and death, and the primal forces that humans must revere. Serpent Mound, with its scale and peculiar position, seems to extend that memory, but on an unprecedented level. This is not just a religious motif. It is a message, carved to be seen from above, as if sent to the heavens. In the early 20th century, when a steel tower was erected for visitors to view the full panorama, Serpent Mound became a destination for those craving to explore mysteries. They climbed up, gazing out over the serpent's wide-open head, and felt something both majestic and unsettling. No one knew when it dated from. No one understood why it existed, but all sensed the same thing. This was no ordinary structure. From that day to now, hundreds of years of research have passed. Science has brought LIDAR, ground-penetrating radar, WISE 14C dating, but Serpent Mound still guards its secrets tightly, beneath that soil. It seems there is something the ancients wanted to remind us of, something they witnessed in the sky and felt compelled to pass on to later generations. A colossal sign to say the sky is not just beautiful. It once threatened life and might return to do so again. From the moment Serpent Mound was discovered, the question haunting archaeologists has been not just why, but when. For determining its age means identifying who built it, and from there, understanding the hidden purpose behind this colossal form. But over a century has passed, and the answer remains unsettled. Each time, new technology emerges. The mystery twists like a labyrinth. In 1996, a team led by Robert V. Fletcher took charcoal samples from old trenches that Frederick Putnam had excavated at the end of the 19th century. The 14C dating results yielded a surprising figure around 1070 AD. That meant Serpent Mound was not an ancient structure from thousands of years BC, as many had imagined, but appeared during the Fort Ancient period, an indigenous culture that flourished in Ohio from the 10th to 13th centuries. This discovery caused a shock. Fort Ancient were known as farmers, potters, and hunters. They had created Alligator Mound, another animal-shaped earthwork. Could Serpent Mound simply be a grander variation of that tradition? A ceremonial structure for observing crops and astronomy. But still within the reach of medieval indigenous people, many scholars agreed, seeing this as the end to speculations about mystical ancient origins. 15 years later, before a new power line was installed through the area, modern archaeologists led by Kevin R. Schwartz conducted a salvage excavation. They found ash layers, remnants of ritual fire pits, and more charcoal samples. The results again matched around 1041-1211 AD, reinforcing the Fort Ancient hypothesis. Newspapers at the time headlined, "Serpent Mound, No Ancient Mystery. Just medieval indigenous farmers' ritual." But truth never stands still. In 2014, a team from Edward W. Herman and G. William Monaghan at Indiana University decided to try something no one had, drilling deep into the core soil inside the serpent's body to find pristine, undisturbed sediment samples. This 14C result pushed the date back to 300 BC, over 2,000 years old, belonging to the early woodland Adena people. This finding upended everything, if correct. Serpent Mound was far older than the Fort Ancient theory, built in an era when metal was rare and agriculture was just beginning. A colossal Adena structure would raise entirely new questions. What techniques did they use to build it? And why would a primitive society need such a massive astronomical symbol? Researchers favoring the Fort Ancient side, led by Bradley T. Lepper, quickly countered. They argued that core soil samples are prone to bioturbation. Animals burrowing could have dragged older organic fragments deeper, skewing the true age. Moreover, the samples came from natural sediments rather than human-built layers, making it hard to claim they represent the construction time. In 2019, Herman and Monaghan fired back, publishing refined data from multiple cores, still yielding over 2,000 years. They proposed a hypothesis: the Adena built the original structure, then Fort Ancient repaired, expanded, and continued using it for astronomical rituals. The seemingly simple answer turned into a layered picture, as if the gigantic serpent had lived through multiple cultures. Today, Serpent Mound is labeled with both possibly initiated by the Adena, modified and used by Fort Ancient. But the question of who the true creators were remains open. Each dating method, however modern, carries weaknesses. 14C can be contaminated, soil layers disturbed. Ohio's hills have changed over thousands of years. In archaeological circles, this debate is not just about numbers. It ties directly to the structure's meaning, if built by Adena. Serpent Mound proves that early indigenous people had profound astronomical thinking and cosmic concepts from very ancient times. If by Fort Ancient, it is a later ceremonial and astronomical symbol, linked to comet events, eclipses, or medieval climate changes. Whichever side one takes, all must admit over a century of research has yet to crack the serpent's message. Each layer of soil, each charcoal sample, each age measurement is like a half-true clue, drawing people deeper into the maze of the past where the warning from the sky still echoes silently. But no one has fully decoded it. While dating methods remain contentious, another question deeper, more mystical, begins to rise. What was Serpent Mound built for, if not a burial site, nor a fortress? Then why did the ancients expend such effort to create a colossal creature visible from the sky? The answers sought over decades always lead in the same direction: ancient astronomy and fear from the cosmos. As early as the late 19th century, Frederick Ward Putnam noticed that the serpent's head seemed oriented northwest, where the sun sets on the summer solstice. By the late 20th century, archaeoastronomers measured more precisely with modern positioning technology and discovered the 7 undulations of the body nearly match the sun's rising and setting points throughout the year. The widened head appears to swallow an egg, possibly symbolizing the sun, moon, or a special celestial body. Archaeoastronomers suggest this could be a giant calendar when the sun, moon, or certain stars appear in specific positions relative to the serpent's body. It signals seasons, rituals, or important events for a culture reliant on agriculture and natural cycles. Predicting weather and harvests was vital. Harvests. But there's another. Boulder hypothesis. Mentioned by many independent researchers and some indigenous scholars, Serpent Mound is not just a calendar, it is a memory of a disaster from the sky. In the early 11th century, astronomy records at least two shocking events: the supernova of 1054, a star explosion creating the Crab Nebula, bright enough to be seen in daylight, and the spectacular appearance of Halley's Comet. Many cultures worldwide recorded or passed down tales of the sky suddenly blazing, accompanied by omens, disasters, and climate changes. Some researchers, including William F. Romaine, hypothesized that Fort Ancient, if they were the last to use the mound, may have witnessed one of these. The blinding light and medieval climate, shifts from the medieval warm period to the Little Ice Age, could have sown apocalyptic fear. In this view, Serpent Mound is not just a time-measuring tool, but an eternal warning the sky once changed and destruction might return. However, the astronomical hypothesis, especially the cosmic warning, is not easily accepted. Traditional archaeologists, led by Bradley T. Lepper, countered that the head's orientation deviates about 1.2 degrees from the exact solstice point. Moreover, no astronomical artifacts like disks or sun symbols have been found inside. What we see might be natural coincidence or overly romantic 20th century interpretations. Modern GPS and LiDAR measurements also show the body does not perfectly align with solar or lunar cycles. Many scholars warn, we are looking at an ancient structure and trying to force it into modern astronomical concepts. Yet, it is Serpent Mound's very silence that nurtures the warning from the sky theory. No graves, no tools, no supporting architecture. All the effort just to create a symbol visible from above. That seems no accident. For cultures living close to nature, a skyborne event could become collective memory, passed through symbols rather than writing. Serpent Mound might be the only diary entry of an incident that once instilled fear. The ancients left no books, but they knew the form of a gigantic serpent swallowing the sun would endure longer than any oral story. Today, the cosmic warning idea exists not only in research circles, but has spread to history and astronomy enthusiasts. Many climate scientists also visit Serpent Mound to study how ancient people responded to changes in the heavens and earth. Though it cannot be proven definitively as a past emergency broadcast, the structure has become a symbol of vigilance. Humans once observed the sky for survival, and perhaps we have forgotten that lesson. Amid conflicts over dates and skepticism from mainstream science, Serpent Mound retains its weight a colossal, silent but haunting symbol. Like a reminder that the sky is not just a place of light and hope, it once sowed fear, and might do so again one day. To unravel Serpent Mound, modern humans have brought tools their ancestors could not imagine: LiDAR scanners, ground-penetrating radar, radiocarbon dating, and sediment drills piercing deep into the mound's foundation. Yet, though science has advanced far, this colossal earthen structure still seems to challenge every effort, holding tight to the secrets the ancients entrusted to it. The first turning point came when LiDAR light detection and ranging technology was introduced to archaeology. From planes and drones, millions of laser beams were fired down through the forest canopy, building a 3D model detailed to the centimeter. For the first time, the serpent's entire 7-curved contour was captured with absolute precision. LiDAR also revealed a shocking truth. Serpent Mound sits right on the edge of an ancient meteor crater over 8 kilometers wide, evidence that this area once endured a cosmic event in the distant past. This discovery adds weight to the warning from the sky hypothesis. Perhaps the ancients deliberately erected the colossal symbol right where a meteor had fallen, as a reminder of destructive power from above. After LiDAR, archaeologists brought GPR ground-penetrating radar to probe hidden structures below. Scientists like Jared Burks dragged scanners over every meter of soil, sending radar waves deep into the mound. The results were surprising: no stone walls, no hollow chambers, no buried tombs. Instead, the radar showed layers of earth built in different phases, suggesting the structure may have been constructed, repaired, or expanded multiple times, aligning with the hypothesis that Adena initiated it and Fort Ancient reused it. But this very emptiness deepens the mystery: all the labor of hundreds of people just to create a colossal form with nothing inside. If the purpose was merely crop rituals, did it need such scale? Alongside structural surveys, scientists collected charcoal and organic samples for radiocarbon 14C dating. This is where the fiercest debates erupted. In 1996, samples from old excavation trenches yielded around 1070 AD, supporting the Fort Ancient culture. In 2011, before power line construction, new samples matched the 11th-12th centuries, bolstering this view. But in 2014, the team led by Edward W. Herman and G. William Monacan drilled into undisturbed core soil and found ages over 2,300 years, pushing origins back to ancient Adena. In 2019, they published refined data, suggesting the structure was multi-phased. Adena built the base. Fort Ancient repaired and continued using it, instead of providing a definitive answer. Modern technology revealed a complex picture serpent mound like a living creature, accreted by successive cultures over millennia. Not stopping there, scientists used astronomy software to simulate past skies, inputting serpent mound's coordinates. Results showed the head nearly aligns with the summer solstice sunset. Many curves correspond to solar rising setting positions throughout the year, some even matching the moon's 18.6-year extreme orbit. If living in Fort Ancient times, standing on the mound could have offered spectacular views of eclipses, Halley's Comet in 1066 or the 1054 supernova. However, the data is not perfectly absolute. A 1 to 2 degree deviation is enough for skeptics to claim coincidence or overly romantic interpretation. The more modern technology is brought, the more researchers realize their limits before the past. LiDAR can map terrain in detail, but not explain beliefs. GPR reveals structure, but cannot read messages. Sakura 14C gives numbers, but is still distorted by time and soil's living activity. Serpent Mound seems designed to exist beyond language, forcing even science to accept some impotence. It offers no answers. It only suggests that the ancients looked to the sky, trembled before power from there, and etched that fear into the earth. Though technology has come far, the message they left remains like an unsolved code, a mystery silently awaiting revelation. If modern science brings scanners and numbers, the land where Serpent Mound sits preserves something immeasurable, the memories and spirit of indigenous people. For many Native American communities, especially tribes rooted in Ohio and the Midwest, the Serpent Mound is not just an archaeological site, it is a sacred place, an intersection between earth, sky, and ancestral souls. In the myths of many tribes like Shawnee, Miami, Lenape, or Degihan-Siowan, the serpent is a primal being belonging to both the underworld and connected to the heavens. It might be the guardian of water sources, protector of the subterranean world, or embodiment of sky-earth changes. In some legends, a gigantic serpent emerges when the sky rages, signaling disaster, floods, or the approaching end times. From that perspective, Serpent Mound may not just be an astronomical observatory, but a plea or warning. Each curve, each bend might hold ritual meaning, tracking sky-earth cycles to find balance between humans and the cosmos. The image of the serpent's head swallowing the egg or sun is not merely a fertility symbol, as some archaeologists interpret, but perhaps how the ancients remembered a moment when light was engulfed in eclipse, comet, or even a supernova explosion. At the end of the 19th century, when Frederick Ward Putnam called for buying land to protect Serpent Mound, few imagined he was laying the foundation for a preservation struggle lasting to today. In the early 20th century, the site became Serpent Mound Memorial Park, attracting visitors but also leading to commercialization and tourism. In 1966, Serpent Mound was recognized as a U.S. National Historic Landmark in the 21st century. It was nominated for UNESCO World Heritage status. This process requires involvement from indigenous tribes, as many communities claim the structure as their spiritual property, not just a specimen for scientific analysis. Debates arise should excavations continue, drilling for soil samples, or leave it as a sacred site. In 2017, the Ohio History Connection decided to remove stone steps once used by visitors to avoid damaging the original structure. Some tribes have even requested limits on power lines and tourism facilities around the area. Archaeologists like Bradley Lepper acknowledge that Serpent Mound cannot be separated from indigenous beliefs. Each 14C measurement, each LiDAR map is useful for research, but can also be seen as intrusion into sacred ground. Some indigenous members opposed the 2014 core drilling, calling it digging up ancestors' memories. Meanwhile, The scientific community argues only by gathering data can they understand the structure and thereby respect its true meaning. This is the persistent tension, science's curiosity clashing with sacred reverence, though debates never end. Serpent Mound remains a convergence of two worlds, scientific knowledge and spiritual memory. Tribes see it as a lesson from the past. Listen to nature. Look to the sky to know when seasons change, climate shifts, or calamity approaches. Scientists are beginning to agree that, though the exact cosmic message is unknown, the ancients had reason to etch it into the earth. Today, as climate change, storms, and space threats meteors, cosmic radiation become global issues. Serpent Mound suddenly carries a new voice. It is not just an archaeological relic, it is a vital symbol of how humans once observed and responded to a world larger than themselves in the ongoing dialogue between science and spirit. Perhaps the most important thing is not proving it belongs to Adena or Fort Ancient, nor pinpointing which star it aligns with. The key is acknowledging that ancestors looked to the sky, understood its terrifying power, and left a timeless warning, amid waves of modernization and advanced technology. Serpent Mound stands there, silent but steadfast, as if waiting for us to hear what they tried to say, a message that could hold survival meaning for the present and future. Serpent Mound has endured through at least 2 millennia, silently witnessing changes in the heavens, Earth, and humanity. It arose in an era without astronomical maps, telescopes, or satellite networks monitoring the sky, but the ancients still gazed at the endless expanse, sensing a power beyond their understanding, and felt the need to remember it. Today, as humanity enters the technological age, we possess massive observatories, spacecraft, and global meteor warning systems. We think ourselves safe from the sky, but are we? Astronomers have cataloged tens of thousands of near-Earth asteroids, many still undetected. Earth's history records events that nearly wiped out life, the Chicxulub impact that extinguished dinosaurs, the 1908 Tunguska comet, or Chelyabinsk in 2013, reminders that the cosmos has never been gentle. In that context, Serpent Mound takes on new meaning. It is not just a pretty remnant for photos or study. It is a trace of the deepest fear that the sky can change in an instant, turning a civilization to ash. When Adena or Fort Ancient saw strange lights, total eclipses, or supernovas, they had no telescopes to analyze, but they had collective memory and faith that later generations needed to know. They chose the simplest but most enduring way, etching the fear into a primal creature nearly half a kilometer long, to survive any upheaval. Modern climate researchers also turned to Serpent Mound as a form of natural memory record. They ask, did medieval climate changes as Europe shifted from the medieval warm period to the Little Ice Age prompt Fort Ancient to repair the structure? Might unease before major sky-Earth shifts have urged them to create a warning sign that thought haunts even more in today's era, as we face unprecedented global climate changes? But perhaps the strongest thing Serpent Mound leaves is not a precise answer to its age or meaning. It is the silence. No texts, no explanations, no words to argue over. Just a colossal form enduring thousands of years, forcing each generation to ask, why did they build it? That silence is the power of the symbol it makes us, even in an age of science and technology. Feel small before the sky. Today, visitors to Serpent Mound often stand silent before the wide-open head, looking northwest where the sun sets on the summer solstice. The feeling that spreads is not immediate fear, but a lingering unease. What did ancestors see to compel them to warn us this way? How much memory of cosmic events that shaped history have we forgotten? And might we, in a world flooded with data and information today, be the most blind to the sky? Serpent Mound gives no answers. It just lies there, resilient against rain and sun, reminding that the past feared something enough to carve it into earth, and that fear has not lost its warning value. In a world growing noisier and more confident in technology, the Serpent Mound still whispers its message. Remember to look to the sky, for what once instilled terror might return at any time.